WIBC. WIBC HD1 Indianapolis. The news starts now.
A high-stakes speech. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. President Biden set to deliver his State of the Union address tonight. The White House says the president will promote unity while also getting a political message across about his likely rival in November, former President Trump, while not mentioning him by name.
We're told the president is going to say the following. My lifetime has taught me to embrace freedom and democracy, a future based on the core values that have defined America: honesty, decency, dignity, equality, to respect everyone, to give everyone a fair shot, to give hate no safe harbor. Now, some other people my age see a different story, an American story of resentment, revenge, and retribution. That's not me.
Fox's Peter Doocy at the White House. Team Trump released a video of the former president on X, formerly Twitter, earlier today, where he slammed the president's policies.
Joe Biden is on the run from his record and lying like crazy to try and escape accountability for the horrific devastation he and his party have created.
Alabama Senator Katie Britt is set to deliver the Republican response. She's expected to say the true, unvarnished state of our union begins and ends with this: our families are hurting. Our country can do better. The House is expected to vote next week on a bill to crack down on TikTok.
The House Energy and Commerce Committee voting without any opposition to advance a bill that would ban TikTok unless its China-based parent company ByteDance divests its stake in the platform.
China is at war with us, and they use TikTok as a weapon.
Texas Congressman Dan Crenshaw. The bill would apply to any social media site with a connection to a foreign adversary. It still needs to pass the full House and Senate before going to President Biden's desk. TikTok saying on social media, quote, 170 million Americans love TikTok, and every single one of us should care about our First Amendment rights.
Fox's Ryan Schmelz. America's listening to Fox News.
93 WIBC Mobile News. On the level, on the go.
It could save you money. I'm Harrison Silcox. Here's what's trending this hour. Natural disasters can threaten life and threaten your wallet. Donnie Burgess reports one bill would make it easier for you to get disaster relief money.
The bill is authored by Republican State Senator Cindy Carrasco. Last summer's tornado outbreak hit close to home, and that's when Carrasco realized the need for improving Indiana's disaster relief fund.
When I was talking to Homeland Security, I thought this is an excellent way for me to be able to accomplish two of my goals: moving the needle for Hoosiers and addressing public safety on my very first bill.
The bill would allow you to access more relief money and simplify the funding process. Donnie Burgess, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
It might be raining while you drive into work Friday.
Just to be careful and slow it down a bit, because even if it's just raining a little bit, it tends to be a little more slick out there on the road. Hydroplaning and that kind of thing.
Forecaster Mike Kosh. Members of a drug trafficking ring were in court Wednesday. Sam Fritz reports.
On Wednesday, 15 people were given sentences totaling 175 years for their involvement in a Kokomo drug trafficking operation, according to court documents. The longest sentence handed out was 25 years, with the shortest being 3 years and 10 months. These convictions stem from an investigation started in 2020 by the Kokomo Police Department. Over the course of 2 years, they managed to seize over 18 pounds of methamphetamine along with other drugs. Of the 15 people sentenced, 13 were from Kokomo, with the other 2 located in Fishers. Sam Fritz, 93 WIBC Mobile News.
On the level, on the go, and on WIBC.com. Here's your forecast from the American Standard Heating Weather Center.
As we make our way towards Thursday evening, we're going to be cloudy with occasional rain showers in the late evening hours. Low temperature around 48 degrees. Winds of the east-southeast at 5 to 10 miles per hour, and chance of rain about 90% near Indianapolis. I'm Wish TV Storm Track 8 meteorologist Junior Sutis for 93 WIBC.
Your nose is for breathing. Your mouth is for eating. And if you're breathing through your mouth, it's not because your body wants to. It's because it has to, because your nose isn't working properly. And although you've lived like this, it's no way to live, and it's having a significant impact on your life. I know you know this, and I know that taking action isn't always convenient. But at Advent, we've done all we can to make changing your life for the better as easy as possible. I'm Dr. Madan Kandula. With tens of thousands of our patients, a thorough breathing triangle evaluation, along with a simple 20-minute in-office procedure called balloon sinuplasty, has opened their nasal passages, allowing them to breathe freely through their nose for good. And there's a good chance this procedure can do the same for you. We'll help you breathe through your nose again, and it will change your life.
Go to AdventKnows.com to schedule your appointment, because Advent knows when you breathe well, you live better. results may vary.
I'm what you might call very good at hide and seek. This one time, my parents had to round up the whole neighborhood to track me down. It was a mess. A lot of tears. Well, now that we got Xfinity, we have Wi-Fi all over the house, including all my favorite super secret hiding spots. So I can kill time in here by streaming my shows and...
Ha! Found you.
The heck? How?
You left Find My tablet on.
This generation, ruining the game with their performance enhancers.
Get wall-to-wall Wi-Fi from Xfinity for a reliable connection throughout your home. Now through March 5th, get gig speed internet for $35 a month for 12 months when you add unlimited mobile. Plus, get Wi-Fi equipment included for 2 years. Go to Xfinity.com, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit a store today. Requires paperless bill and auto-pay stored bank account. Restrictions apply. Taxes and fees extra and may change. Gig speed Wi-Fi requires gig internet and Xfinity Gateway. After 12 months, internet increases to $60. After 24 months, regular rates apply. Xfinity Mobile requires Xfinity internet. Actual speeds vary.
Tony Katz.
It's Kendall and Casey. The Amber and Nigel show.
All right, when does your show start? Do we know? I feel like I've been promoting this for 9 years now.
This is the Tony Kinnett Cast on 93 WIBC.
Tonight is indeed the night that all of the political pundits, your grandmother's watching cable news, and yes, your local sports bar have been waiting for. It is Custer's last State of the Union address, one way or another. I don't say this in jest. I don't necessarily think that it's funny. This is definitely President Biden's last State of the Union address. Even if somehow, out of the most out of left field pitch knocked clear into the rafters, Joe Biden maintains his mental, cognitive, physical abilities through the election and somehow, lying in state like Vladimir Lenin, wins re-election. There is no way that at the rate President Joe Biden has regressed physically and mentally in the last 30 days, much less the last couple of years, that he makes it to the next State of the Union address. And again, I don't say that in humor. I don't necessarily think that's funny. I think that it's funny that Democrats believe that President Biden is going to somehow shoot the moon and magically appear on stage as, this is this is what Joe Scarborough from MSNBC thinks about President Biden's current condition.
But comparing that guy's mental state, I've said it for years now, he's cogent. But I undersold him when I said he was cogent. He's far beyond cogent. In fact, I think he's better than he's ever been. Intellectually, analytically, because he's been around for 50 years. And, I don't know if people know this or not, Biden used to be a hothead.
I'm just going to make this fun point. The Democrat Party is currently split three ways. 1/3 of it hates President Biden. And now this is also the youth and the Shia Muslim vote from places like Michigan. And they're not likely to come out anyway. Well, Michigan being a battleground state, that is a problem. But the youth vote, not really looking good in turnout because it never really is. But the idea of that group is that they hate Biden because of foreign policy and not forgiving their college loans. So that's group number one. Group number two thinks that President Biden is old, but you know what? Trump's also old, and they think, well, Biden is a lot better than Donald Trump. Group number three are what I like to call the really special, let's say highly regarded individuals who have made the decision to claim that President Joe Biden is better than he ever is. He's totally cogent. In fact, that's underselling him. He's super duper cogent. I mean, he's like Albert Einstein as a 25-year-old man. Good luck, because we will be playing this clip from Joe Scarborough tomorrow when we have some footage from Biden's State of the Union address. Tonight is indeed the do or die moment, no pun intended, for both President Biden and the Biden campaign. I am not convinced that medically he makes it through tonight. And again, I'm not laughing. I'm not joking about that. President Biden, the last time he was up in front of the public for more than 5 minutes, 5.5 minutes, he almost collapsed on the press while giving what has to be the most disastrous press conference in the history of any U.S. president. So looking at the State of the Union tonight, when President Biden has spoken about an hour or 5 minutes to hour and 11 minutes the entire time he's been in office, presidents have been known basically all the way back to George H.W. Bush to go at least an hour to an hour and a half in this speech. And I know that President Biden is going to be clinging to the speech in front of him for dear life. That's probably typed in size 72 font, Comic Sans, bolded, highlighted, and with some kind of insulin pump full of Adderall jetting into his bloodstream. I don't think that's going to be enough. I genuinely worry that we could see a very traumatic incident out in front of the country tonight. I don't relish that. This is the leader of the free world, and we could be looking at one of the most atrocious moments in American history. It's extremely taxing to give a speech in front of a large crowd, especially when the weight of your campaign and your administration is tantamount here. Biden makes the case tonight whether he even makes it through the summer. I mean, you heard the news bulletins throughout the day. It's supposed to be some kind of message of unity while also condemning Donald Trump, but not naming him. Like, that's a high order. To be very honest with you guys, I don't know if I could keep all of the things necessary in my head for a State of the Union address with notes. That would take weeks, if not months, of preparation. President Biden can't even read off 2 or 3 pages in a row. He is at the point now where reading off of the teleprompter is as bad as his speaking was 6 months ago. Let me repeat that. President Biden today is as bad when it comes to reading a piece of paper as he was 6 months ago trying to go ad-lib off script. That's horrible. And he's supposed to pull off an hour tonight? I mean, Sean Spicer made the joke on Twitter that this was going to be the first State of the Union with intermissions. And I laughed about it because as the Ministry of Truth account in satire, I feel like he beat me to that joke, but there's a lot of truth to that. Maybe there's some irony in there. I'm not going to go looking for it. Right now, there's some better irony at play. That is that Governor Hochul of New York has announced and has deployed 750 National Guardsmen into the New York City subways to conduct bag checks, in addition to another 250 law enforcement members. She's also proposing a bill to ban people convicted of a violent crime on the subway from public transit. And this comes after the BLM and the DEI and the Summer of Love and all of the insane violence that is almost always black on Asian crime in New York City. Like the number of individuals who are black who commit crimes against Asian women in New York like beats any other kind of crime in the city. Very, very weird stuff. And I say that because, again, the Stop Asian Hate messaging throughout the summers of the last couple of years has not been directed at communities that are causing that kind of an issue. Black on black crime is really terrible. Hispanic and migrant crime is really bad in the New York City subways. But there's a more important thing to be made here than just the fact that New York City's equity farm of not charging people long term having a problem. There's actually a better point to be made here. And that is that, remember when Senator Tom Cotton from Arkansas wanted to send the National Guard into Washington, D.C., and to the Midwestern cities that were on fire after George Floyd, the fentanyl addict and pregnant woman beater, was killed while in the custody of the Minneapolis police? Do you remember what he was called? Here, I'll jog your memory for you. No problem. Here's Ben Rhodes over on MSNBC.
Important point, though, I want to make, Rachel, is as they put themselves forward as these defenders of American values, Tom Cotton is the one who proposed using the military against peaceful protesters. Donald Trump and Tom Cotton supported tear gassing peaceful protesters right in front of the White House.
Now, is that true? No, it's absolutely not true. There was no peaceful protesting going on at all. There was violence going on. People were trying to scale the fence at the White House. There was vandalism widespread that led to arson and a lot of other really horrible and terrible things. But all of a sudden, when it comes to a Democrat governor dispatching the National Guard, oh, it's totally fine. Actually, it's a necessary step to really take a look at some new measures. It's always that kind of a framing. Remember, Greg Abbott deploying the National Guard to the border was considered fascist. And all of the governors that sent National Guardsmen over to him, that was fascist, terrible. But no one seems to have that criticism of New York State's Democratic governor. Funny how that works out. Up next on the show, we have Lauren Gideon with Classical Conversations. You hear us talk about all the crazy stuff going on in public schools. It's time to talk about some alternatives that even the public school teachers are choosing, followed by awful tweets, and boy, do we have some doozies, with Jerry Lopez, that's Indy Spanglish, over on Twitter X. Stick around, we're glad you're here. This is going to be one heck of a show. You are listening to the Tony Kinnett Cast on 93 WIBC.
Tony Katz.
Laken Riley was a nursing student in Georgia and was killed by an illegal immigrant. Entered the United States via El Paso, released from a detention center due to overcrowding, and killed this woman. Joe Biden and Secretary of Homeland Security Alejandro Mayorkas have blood on their hands. This is the reality of an open, porous border. These are the facts. The end.
Tony Katz, mornings 6 to 9 on 93 WIBC and WIBC.com.
You love spring in Indy, so don't spend it painting. Do what your neighbor Mike did. He called Rhino Shield.
Our home is basically a contemporary, and we just started noticing that the paint was just fading and just looked like garbage. We had received a postcard from Rhino Shield, and we decided to take a look at it.
Rhino Shield's formulated for our specific climate here in Indiana.
The process with Rhino Shield and their crew, they were just very conscientious. We had problems in the past with painters. They leave debris and everything. Well, we didn't have that with Rhino Shield.
Way better than paint, backed by a 25-year warranty. Right now, get the guaranteed protection of Rhino Shield for 15% off the regular price.
The thing about Rhino Shield, the heat gain has been reduced, and we save $70 a month. You don't hear that about any type of paint.
Here's Rhino Shield's Shane Smith.
This offer is limited, so call me at 888-RHINO-41. That's 888-RHINO-41.
Don't paint.
Don't vinyl.
Go Rhino.
Paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Greetings from R&R Agency, your Indiana health insurance pros, and a sincere thank you to our loyal customers for helping make us national sales leaders for the 7th year in a row. We continue to save our new clients 30 to 40% when compared to their current ACA, short-term, COBRA, or small group programs. Breaking news. On July the 7th, President Biden signed an executive order outlawing short-term health plans. If you're on a short-term plan or just unhappy with your present coverage, call Terry or Ron at 317-563-0868 or go to rragency.org. That's 317-563-0868 or rragency.org. If you don't call us, we can't help you. Our coverages are guaranteed to age 65 with zero deductible and zero copay options, all on the largest network in the country. Give us a call. What the heck you got to lose? As always, God bless America, or at least what's left of her.
Are you too busy to exercise and be healthy? I felt that way 6 years ago, and then I started training at Exercise Inc. Go once a week for your private 20-minute workout. Adopt the 9 simple habits you need to follow to change your health and lose weight. Then enjoy life because you'll be stronger and have more energy. The program has helped me lose weight. I don't get winded jumping on the trampoline with my kids anymore. 5 locations: Avon, Brownsburg, Greenwood, Zionsville, and now in Fishers. ExerciseInc.com. Tell them Nigel sent you.
Working full-time and raising 3 kids ages 4 to 8 means my spouse and I are constantly running from one thing to the next. Having before-school and after-school care for my kids at IPS has made it so much easier for us to coordinate. Every IPS student enrolled in pre-K through grade 5 has access to enrichment programs provided through neighborhood organizations like YMCA, Boys and Girls Club, and at your school. The best part, transportation is free. Choose your IPS today at myips.org.
This ad was paid for by Indianapolis Public Schools.
500 Guns is just east of the Speedway and the Viaduct on 16th Street. 500 Guns is your classic old-school gun shop with the best service in Indy. You have to experience it to believe it. Joe and Guy Montgomery and their friendly staff are there to help you if you're a first-time gun owner or looking to add to your collection. They buy and sell single guns or entire collections. Visit 500 Guns today on West 16th Street or spell out the words 500guns.com. 500guns.com.
24/7 ER care for kids. 24/7 peace of mind for you. Riley Children's Health emergency doctors and nurses are in the ER around the clock at IU Health North in Carmel. Learn more at rileychildrens.org/ER.
Nobody likes a cold shower. LD Smith has hot deals on water heaters. Save up to $300 on a new water heater install.
LD Smith Plumbing.
A dirty, stinking honest.
Inside Indiana Business Radio, the news you need to get ahead.
Indiana's business news leader, weekdays at 6:32 a.m. and 5:56 p.m. on WIBC.
Woodard M. Hart, Henry, Reeves, and Wagner. Over 140 years specializing exclusively in patent, trademark, trade secret, and copyright law and litigation. On the web at uspatent.com.
Beauty and durability come together in pre-finished LP SmartSide Expert Finish Trim and Siding. It's designed to help provide superior protection against the elements and available in 16 versatile colors. Learn more at lpcorp.com/expertfinish or visit your local 84 Lumber at 84lumber.com. That's 84lumber.com.
It's the Tony Kinnett Cast on 93 WIBC.
Just a curbside prophet with my hand in my pocket.
Hey, welcome back to the Tony Kinnett Cast here on 93 WIBC. I'm Tony Kinnett, and I went through public school. I went to a Christian high school, and since then have taught in schools of, well, just about every shape and size. And if there's one thing that I've learned, it's that there needs to be a complete reimagining of how we do education, but not in the way that you might think. A little bit of help when it comes to digging into maybe the way that education should be going is Lauren Gideon. She's the Director of Public Affairs for Classical Conversations. Lauren, good evening.
Hi, nice to see you.
So tell me a little bit about what Classical Conversations is doing to maybe facilitate kind of a different look in education.
Absolutely. So we are a home-centered education movement that's focused on equipping parents with the classical tools of education to teach a Christian worldview with the classical tools in the context of community with other families. So on the one hand, it's a very new approach, but on the other hand, it's a very old approach to education.
So when you say it's a new approach to education, I'm used to new approaches being some kind of a weird marketing email. Actually, I got one from a friend of mine. I'm going to bring this up. This is a lot of people talking about new innovations in education. This is to a friend of mine. He says, "Dear Jacob, are you tired of traditional methods of education that only focus on academics? Do you want the kids you serve to develop and thrive in all aspects of your life? Look no further. Our Chakras and Child Development Program." And then it goes on to talk about, like, this is what's new in education now. And well, I don't get the vibe that's the kind of program that you guys are promoting.
No, absolutely not. What is new, I think, about our approach to education isn't new historically speaking, but it's new for our modern age. We live in an age where we have such dependency on the expert model, which incidentally is constantly telling parents that they're inadequate, unprepared, unqualified for this thing that they're called to. And so, unfortunately, it's revolutionary to tell parents that they can take ownership and responsibility for their family's education, and we're here to support them and equip them along the way.
Now, this comes on the heels of some really disturbing things that we've seen in public education over the last couple of years, even in a lot of private education over the last couple of years. And the things that I'm always told by individuals in the media is that this is just some kind of an idea, the homeschooling craze or the classical education phase. This is just for paranoid parents. But speaking as a former teacher, and my wife as well, a former teacher, I have noticed a surprising number of professionals, throwing in the air quotes there, in the education space that are leaving to participate in these kind of programs with classical education and homeschool education as well. Why do you think that is?
I think they're almost the most qualified to realize that our modern systems have failed the children. And once they become parents for themselves, the stakes are high. And this is something they care deeply about, and they're the most prepared to make that decision because a lot of parents that I interact with that are not in the education sphere are remembering back to days when they themselves were students in the classroom. And while probably 20, 30 years ago, classrooms had their issues, the rate at which our systems are failing our children is only increasing. So kudos for them for reading the room and leaving.
I think that more than just reading the room, it's kind of bucking against these weird kind of fear-mongering tactics that I hear on the other side as well, in which that, oh, well, you want your kid to be able to socialize, don't you? You want him to turn out normal, don't you? You don't want him to be this. And then they paint the idea of this, like, three-toed, two-tailed, like, freak that, like, I don't know, chews on dinner plates and forks at restaurants or something. I mean, they always paint the weirdest kids imaginable. And I got to tell you, I think that argument fell flat after the standard for some of the students that come out of a lot of public schools has become the caricature that homeschoolers or those participating in classical education were supposed to be. And now it seems like classically educated students, are the ones who are, more able to quote on history or more able to expound upon mathematics and ecology and biology and the things that actually make up the world. Again, you're a homeschooling mom yourself. You've had quite a few kids go through these programs, so you've seen it firsthand. Are you raising the, fork chewing freaks, or did they turn out differently than the fear mongering would suggest?
Well, I think it's interesting that we're looking at the type of social skills that students have today, because if you read the headlines in any newspapers, the amount of social skills coming out of government schools is alarming. And so, yes, I think you're right. We're starting to look like the normal ones in the room. And academically, our students are performing well. I think that our graduates, for instance, are scoring very high on their standardized testing, above both all across homeschool, all U.S. and private schools. And so the facts just aren't supporting that narrative anymore. People will have anecdotal stories, but as you know, there's strange people in every sphere that you enter. But the narrative that homeschoolers are always the oddballs in the room just doesn't exist anymore.
And I don't think that it's just linked to, the oddball argument anymore. We're on with Lauren Gideon, Director of Public Affairs for Classical Conversations. I think that now the fear is not just for the academic knowledge of the student, but it's also for the safety of the student. And not just in the deepest inner city schools in LA and New York are we hearing about these terrible stories of violence anymore. It is in your neighborhood. It is in your local school, in which students aren't being held accountable, and you end up having situations in which your child could witness a very brutal fight in class, and then the offending students are sent right back after 5 minutes and a snack in the office to sit next to your kid again, and maybe it's your kid that's going to be attacked this time. There is a serious issue with accountability in public schools that we're just, I got to tell you, I love the fact that knowing that my kids are going to be safe when we begin homeschooling.
Absolutely. There's a statistic I read a couple years ago that students in public schools, the odds of them being sexually abused was 1 in 10. Now, I'm a mom of 7, and maybe I live in a great school district, but there comes a time as parents we have to look at the school's reporting of the abuse happening in the schools. So this isn't somebody else making this up and saying statistically, odds are not my kid's favor. And then the uncomfortable question, people get really, really mad at me if I say this, and sometimes I say this. If you know the chances of abuse are very, very high and you take your children into that scenario, there's a question of culpability. It's not every school district, it's not every classroom. I'm not making accusations. I'm just saying there's statistics out there that we have to take an account for. And in our culture right now, people want to blame shift. They want to look to the state for the solutions, to their school district for the solutions. But ultimately, as a Christian myself, I think I have to give an account for the decisions I make for my children. Not that they're always perfectly safe in my care, but I am responsible. And so I have this obligation to make sure I put them in the safest environments possible.
I think that building on top of that, it's not just a standard of worrying about, whether the child is going to be sexually abused. I find more and more, and this is something that I find on the political spectrum, that individuals on the other side of the aisle have a very different standard for what I would consider as sexually inappropriate for my child. And I'm seeing time and time again in which they don't believe that it's sexually inappropriate for kindergarten students to learn about the different kinds of people you can be sexually attracted to at a time before children should be remotely worried about sexual attraction, period. Not to mention the graphic things, both textually and in the graphics themselves, that are coming out of some of the public school libraries and lit classes and pride festivals and things. And again, then the same reason that I don't encourage my kids to stay up and watch the 11 o'clock news because the stories discussed there are a little bit old and a little bit mature for their age, I don't think that my little children should be exposed to things that maybe should be kept for individuals of a higher age. But that's a standard that I have. Mm-hmm. And if I homeschool my children and if I keep them in communities where I think they're going to be edifying, then someday we'll be able to have those conversations and they'll be able to carry that weight without being confused.
Absolutely. And it's not just about age appropriateness. In Iowa here, and I think this is the case in other places, we have special laws that protect our schools, that they're allowed to show children material that is not allowed to be showed to the general public on the news and other arenas. Anywhere else outside of this protected space, this would be illegal. But in our state code, we have protections for this kind of thing. So we're not even arguing if it's age appropriate. Our general public has said the type of content in this material is inappropriate. I would love to see that type of thing go away, but the reality is, again, it goes back to, well, who's in charge of what goes in front of my children's eyes? I like how you talked about that. Even the news, sometimes as a responsible parent, I have to set limits to protect them. And so I think as long as we keep honoring the authority of the parents in that home and looking to our parents for solutions and not outside to other agencies, we're continuing to affirm that parents can be solution finders.
I think that's really the best way to put that. Lauren Gideon, Director of Public Affairs for Classical Conversations. From Iowa to Indiana, one great Midwestern state to another. Thank you very much for joining us this evening.
Thanks so much for having me.
Stick around. You are listening to the Tony Kinnett Cast here on 93 WIBC.
Here's another remarkable success story from QC Kinetics. This one from Chad, who hurt his knee at the gym one day, and it just kept on hurting for months.
From my high school football and wrestling days, I already had a little bit of damage in there, but this just sent it over the edge.
Chad tried traditional treatments with no improvement when he turned to the non-surgical regenerative treatments at QC Kinetics.
It was really fascinating how they did their work, and the science behind it was very intriguing, and it works. Extracting the cure out of my own body blew my mind. It's like I'm brand new again. It was fantastic.
That's because the QC Kinetics natural biologic treatments use your body's own healing power to restore damaged tissue in your hips, shoulders, back, and knees, providing long-lasting relief.
Now I'm back at the gym. I'm 100% feeling great.
If you're tired of suffering with pain from arthritis or injury, call QC Kinetics now for a free consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 463-235-7160. That's 463-235-7160. In Eagle Creek and Greenwood, 463-235-7160.
Getting quality employees to fill positions in your company is essential, but finding those people can be a major hassle, unless you use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter makes finding quality people a breeze. And right now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. With ZipRecruiter, one click sends your job to hundreds of top job sites. But more than that, ZipRecruiter's advanced technology identifies the candidates with the skills you need, sends you a list of great matches to review, then actively invites them to apply for your job. And the results speak for themselves. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. That's right, the first day. Now you can focus on your business and let ZipRecruiter do the work finding the best people for you. See for yourself. Experience the ease, efficiency, and power of ZipRecruiter for free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Cancer's worst gets our best. Franciscan Health is a national leader in treating colorectal cancer, achieving the highest standards in cancer care. With accredited programs, board-certified oncologists, and fellowship-trained colorectal surgeons, Franciscan Health is focused on your future, offering the most advanced treatments and latest clinical trials that are no match for colorectal cancer. Meet colorectal cancer's toughest opponent at franciscanhealth.org/colon-cancer-care. That's franciscanhealth.org/colon-cancer-care.
Did you know one of the best investments you can make? It's in yourself. At My Computer Career, in just a few months, you could start your new career in the high-demand, recession-resistant field of information technology. Isn't it time you invest in you and start a career in networking, cybersecurity, AI, or upskill to boost your current IT career? So, get the ROI you deserve at My Computer Career. No experience necessary. Start now at mycomputercareer.edu.
Financial aid is available for qualified students, including the GI Bill.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. I'm about to tell you a secret that'll make the insurance companies madder than a wet hen. Major insurance companies use a software called Colossus to tell them what the firm you hire is likely to settle your case for. Google it yourself. They know which law firms can lowball and take the last best offer, not us. Google our firm and see billions recovered from those very same insurance companies. They know who we are, and now you know it too. Morgan & Morgan.
Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
The Indy 1500 Gun and Knife Show is this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday at the Indiana State Fairgrounds. For hunting, sporting, and personal protection gear, visit the Indy 1500 Gun and Knife Show.
Hammer and Nigel here, inviting you to join us as we kick off the weekend every Friday around 5:45 with Beer Sample Friday, brought to you by our friends at Thompson Furniture and Mattress in Columbus.
What if the next time you painted your home was the last time you painted your home?
Our home has had Rhino Shield for 10 years.
Rhino Shield. Call 888-RHINO-41. Don't paint, don't vinyl. Go Rhino.
Go where the pros go. Drexel Interiors for Timberlake kitchen and bath cabinets. Visit Drexel's new design center on 146th Street at River Road or on North Shadeland. DrexelIN.com.
Awful tweets, the ones that no one ever deletes. Awful tweets on the Tony Kinnett Show.
On 93 WIBC.
Welcome back to the Tony Kinnett Cast here on 93 WIBC. It's time for everyone's favorite weekly segment, Awful Tweets. Jerry Lopez, Indy Spanglish. How's it going, dude?
Doing very well. How are you?
Fantastic. I have got some great ones sent in. The New York Post was by far the most popular account that was sent in this week, and we're going to hit off with a real doozy. The New York Post tweeted that a migrant charged with murdering Laken Riley likely panicked when she fought back. Profiler. And it's an article all about how the migrant likely got really scared when he tried to rape and murder Laken Riley. What do you think about that one?
Yeah, it's a shame when we've turned around and now we are literally victim blaming, right? It's her fault she fought back, therefore it's
her skirt
fault.
Was probably short or something.
It's crazy. Yeah, it's great. Well, let's follow that up. I have a New York Post one as well. So California's instituted a $20 minimum wage law, and there is one very specific exemption. If your business produces and sells individual loaves of bread, you don't have to pay a $20 minimum wage. And there's one business in particular that stands out, and that is Panera Bread. Okay. And Panera Bread's founder / CEO actually went to high school with Governor Gavin Newsom, and it is a large Democratic donor. So it is no wonder why he got that special caveat there.
Oh, so everyone else has to pay a $20 minimum wage, but the guy giving Gavin Newsom money? Oh, yeah, that's a big surprise.
Yeah. Except for his high school homeboy.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I got to stick up for the lads. So speaking of no surprise at all, this is from Speaker Pelosi. She tweeted this out right at the end of February. She said, the Supreme Court is placing itself on trial with its decision to hear the former president's total immunity claim. It remains to be seen whether the justices will uphold the fundamental American value that no one is above the law, not even a former president. What do you say to that?
The audacity. Forget former president. We just had a current president be investigated, and they said he was too stupid to be held accountable for the classified information. So if anybody's above that, listen, we're talking to Stock Trader Pro, Nancy Pelosi and her husband, who are the best wolves of Wall Street ever.
My big problem with this isn't even the hypocrisy. It's on the personal level, the kind of goofy shenanigans that she's associated with. My big issue is the kind of hypocrisy from all of these people who cried and wailed over the audacity of people to question American institutions. Yet the Supreme Court agrees to take, I think the Supreme Court should agree to take any case regarding a former president. I think that, again, if that's something that's that serious, I don't care whether it's a left wing, right wing, center wing, Pelican wing. You get them on the Supreme Court if it looks like there's a question to be answered here. They're not putting themselves on trial as though they better rule the way I want them to, or they're not legitimate is amazing. Well, I've got something else special for you on powerful women in government, and that's Nikki Haley. So Nikki Haley's out of the race, but she did tweet one celebration about a primary that she won. See if you can catch the weird spot in this one. She says, Republicans closest to Washington, D.C.'s dysfunction know that Donald Trump has brought nothing but chaos and division for the past 8 years. It's time to start winning again and move our nation forward. She says that after winning the primary in Washington, D.C. Tell me, Jerry, what do you think about that?
So I'm not surprised she won the swamp. Like that's her hometown. I think she should be more concerned that her literal neighbors in South Carolina wanted Donald Trump instead of her. Like, to me, that's even more alarming. Her county, she lost her county in South Carolina. Nobody does that. Nobody loses their hometown.
No, that's not true. Jennifer McCormick, who is running for governor, Democrat governor of Indiana, is from Henry County, my county. And I guarantee you she does not flip that blue at all. So great stuff there. Don't you have a really good tweet about Judy Bloom's bookstore? I got to hear this one.
Yeah. So this one is from a Katrina Vanderhoovel. And it says a few banned books. And a few banned books in Judy Bloom's Key West bookstore. And so I'll just zoom in on the picture here. It's genderqueer. It's the 1619 Project, The Color Purple, The Hunger Games is back there.
Wait. The Hunger Games?
Yeah, look, I'll show this for
the Hunger Games is banned?
YouTube special. If you're on there, there's the Hunger Games in the tweet that we are referencing.
We'll zoom in on that one on the editing so everybody can see that. That's a good one. The Hunger Games. They've also none of these books at all are banned. Because you can buy them.
Kite Runner's on there.
There's a lot of really great things out there that are not funded by the taxpayer. Did you know that the federal government is not supplying me with Hershey's chocolate bars? I cannot go to a public school and for free just like grab Hershey's chocolate bars. That doesn't mean they're banned. Yeah. Just because the school's not giving them away for free at the doorstep. So incredible stuff.
The fact that there's a section called banned books tells you they're not banned, right? If they were banned, they wouldn't be in the section.
Maybe this is like a really dyslexic way of talking about banned books. Like they're like biographies about great musicians. Check out this banned book section. Okay, so this last one, keeping with our New York Post theme of real stinkers in this particular awful tweet segment. New York Post tweeted a couple of days ago, half of all men feel pressured to act manly. And then the thumbnail is this guy, and I guess he's like sitting in bed with his wife, and he's just like sitting at the end of the bed looking all depressed, like, oh, I have to be a man. Oh. So, do you feel pressured to be manly?
Hey, statistics say it's either me or you, and I do not, Tony. So maybe it's you. I'm not sure.
I'll go one step further and say it's a good thing to feel pressured to feel manly. I think fellow dudes should encourage each other to act like dudes.
It's missing.
Like when bros are bros, that's fantastic. Yeah. Absolutely.
It's definitely missing. So let me send you home with a good one. This is Keith Olbermann. He's always good for an awful tweet. And this is after the 9-0 ruling from the Supreme Court. And I just want you to listen to this and tell me what it sounds like. So he said the Supreme Court has betrayed democracy. Its members, including Jackson, Kagan, and Sotomayor, have proven themselves inept at reading comprehension and collectively, the quote court has shown itself to be corrupt and illegitimate. It must be dissolved.
It must be dissolved.
Dissolve the court. Yeah.
So let's get that straight. The Democrats have called for the abolition of the Senate because that's not populationally representative. They've called for the abolition of the Electoral College, and now the abolition of the Supreme Court
itself. Yes.
So is it just going to be Mein Führer in the White House and his edicts from on high?
Yeah.
Like, is this really what we're doing now? Really? That's what Keith Olbermann. Oh man, don't like how the court makes a lot of decisions that I disagree with.
Hold on. This is the side that likes to scream out the word. This is the side that likes to scream out the word fascist.
Fascist for everything.
Come on, man.
Time and time again,
these
what I'm
tweets write
seeing
themselves.
is I see the right. So everyone's always scared about this Project 2025 from the Heritage Foundation. Ooh, Project 2025. It's going to establish a military junta state or whatever. And the craziest thing that Project 2025 calls for is a lot of federal agencies, which are not in the U.S. Constitution. So these unelected, federally executive branch appointed agencies, a couple of them to be dissolved. The Supreme Court doesn't change. The House doesn't change. The Senate doesn't change. State legislatures don't change. But yet you flip over to the Democrat side and it's abolish everything but the White House and its great leader. Well, Jerry, this has truly been a great week of awful tweets. You can follow him over at Indy Spanglish. My dude, take care until next week.
Yeah, have a great show, Tony.
Stick around. You are listening to the Tony Kinnett Cast here on 93 WIBC.
Tony Katz.
I also did say that men are not women and women are not men, and men do not breastfeed and never will, because those are facts. And anybody who says otherwise, that person shouldn't be allowed to practice medicine. They're crazy. I will have that debate with anyone at any med school anywhere. Let's start setting a standard that we focus on medicine and not insanity.
Tony Katz, mornings 6 to 9 on 93 WIBC and WIBC.com.
You let him try violin because you love him. And if you love him that much, love him enough to make sure he's buckled up and in the back seat. Find out more at nhtsa.gov/the-right seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
A sleep divorce happens when bed partners sleep in different rooms because one of them has a snoring problem. It's nothing to be embarrassed about, but it is unfortunate, especially when there are simple, non-surgical solutions that can put snoring problems to bed for good. I'm Dr. Madan Kandula with Advent, where our exclusive focus is the nose and throat, which is exactly where your snoring problem is coming from. If 20 years ago you told me I'd be helping relationships flourish again, I'd have laughed. But in many cases, that is the case. Because helping your bed partner stop snoring so the two of you can get back to sleeping together again can do just that.
Go to adventknows.com today to schedule your appointment and learn more about our effective breathing triangle solutions. Because Advent knows when you breathe well, you live better.
Breathe well with simple solutions. Breathe well with simple solutions. AdventKnows.com.
Results may vary.
Tony Katz here, and if you know me, you know I like my bourbon, and just like you, I like a good deal. So let me tell you about Hotel Tango Bourbon. Hotel Tango is a distillery right here in Indianapolis, started by Travis Barnes, a Marine who served 3 tours in Iraq. He wanted to craft spirits with the same discipline he learned in the Marine Corps. That's what Hotel Tango does. I've tried his bourbon. It's wonderful. It's a 4-grain bourbon with a distinct mash bill. You get a little caramel and some of that aroma. You get a nice rye kick to balance it out. I'm not the only one who thinks it's good. Wine Enthusiast gave it a 94, and it won a gold at the San Francisco Spirits Competition. It's also under $40. Did I mention that? One of the 10 best bourbons under $40, according to Wine Enthusiast. Try it for yourself. Head down to wherever you buy fine spirits and try Hotel Tango for yourself. You'll be supporting local, supporting veterans, and getting yourself a great, sippable, enjoyable bourbon at a great price. Thanks to Hotel Tango for sponsoring the show. Hotel Tango, distilled with discipline. HotelTangoDistillery.com.
Michaelis presents Password. The word is basement.
Wet. Rain. Leaky. Faucet.
Stinky.
Socks.
Moldy.
Underwear.
No, it's basement.
Really moldy underwear. Well, sometimes.
Ew. Basement waterproofing and French drains. Life happens. Michaelis happens to help you through it.
Call today.
Shameless. Come on, take your basement back. 844-FIX-INDY.
Discovery, innovation, progress. It all starts right here at IU Indianapolis. We're making cutting-edge discoveries in science, technology, and healthcare. We're investing in Indiana's future with degrees that make a difference. We're partnering with local businesses to drive our city forward. And we're just getting started. See where we're going at indianapolis.iu.edu/start.
We're all different. 1 in 5 of us live with a mental illness. Don't filter who you are. Talk to someone you trust. Learn more at bringchangetomind.org.
Uh-oh, Brad's buzzed.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he's starting with the whoops. Good thing is, he knows when he's buzzed.
Know your buzzed warning signs? Call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
It's the Tony Kinnett Cast on 93 WIBC.
Feels like I'm losing it.
Hey, welcome back to the Tony Kinnett Cast here on 93 WIBC. Now, look, there are 2 times in life where you're really not allowed to give anybody advice. So you're not supposed to give legal advice, and you're not supposed to give financial advice. You're supposed to preface when you talk about it by saying, now, this is not actually financial or legal advice. I'm not a lawyer or your accountant, or I don't want to be responsible for your bad decisions. I'm going to give you great financial advice. And I want to go on the record. This is financial advice. It is great financial advice. Now, why would I be so gung-ho to give you financial advice? Well, first of all, if you're going after people who you heard on the radio talking to you about finances for culpability, that's just silly. But in this case, I can tell you with very strong certainty that there is an investment strategy which does not and cannot fail. I'm not talking about buying gold. I ain't talking about buying silver or plutonium or uranium. I'm not talking about going to the Middle East for oil. I'm not even talking about an OnlyFans. I'm talking about surefire foundation financial investments, ladies and gentlemen. Right here, right now. It's better than cryptocurrency. It's better than your grandmother telling you to listen to Dave Ramsey. Nancy Pelosi. That's it. Nancy Pelosi. We got to talk about Nancy Pelosi and what people are starting to do. You'll notice the title of this segment, for those of you on the live stream, is called Copy and Paste Investing. Let me tell you a little bit about old Nancy Pelosi over here. She was in Congress for 36 years. And she is one of Congress' most aggressive stock traders. She is infamous for how much she has made in her time in Congress by making investments right before big bills passed and kind of, doing a lot of wheeling and dealing, making sure that her closest friends and family made millions of dollars right before certain bills were passed. And strangely enough, she had inside knowledge on when big regulatory decisions and international deals would either carry or fall through. And her latest cash cow is an organization called NVIDIA. NVIDIA makes graphics cards, a lot of software, as well as an impressively incredible microchip industry that, like AMD, is changing a lot of the modern world. It's one of the reasons why Taiwan is such a key part of the global infrastructure. Nancy Pelosi has over $100 million in net worth. In investing in NVIDIA and all of her interesting little bits of knowledge into regulatory reform and international politics regarding the trading there, she made $500,000 of profit in the company just by investing changes by January of 2024. Between January of 24 and February of 2024, she doubled her money by investing in NVIDIA at the right times and made over $1 million in profit. As of today, according to @PelosiTracker_ over on Twitter, she has made $2 million worth of profits in just 103 days. 11 years worth of her salary as a representative in California made on just one trade. She bought a lot of shares when there were not any public announcements or reasons to buy shares. And then after she made her purchase, NVIDIA started doing big things that she definitely had insider knowledge on and started making big, extreme buku dollars. That is a 75% return, not for her, but for those who have just copied her trades. This is the best part. There is an organization called Autopilot in which you can track certain high-level government officials' trades, which they have to report. And then you can make the trades basically right on their heels. So like if Nancy Pelosi buys, you buy. If she sells, you sell. And Autopilot, kind of makes sense. The name is very apt in this case. People who invested the way Nancy Pelosi invested in NVIDIA right after her or within about a week margin of error, they have made a 75% return. That's nuts. That is nuts. It's almost doubling your investment just by following at the heels of Nikki Haley. So if you're out there and you're thinking that you want to follow some investment advice strategies, you could go sit down and talk to your advisor over at Edward Jones, and they'll give you some really sound advice over decades of data. Or you can follow some of these people from Congress, or that were recently in Congress, that did insider trading officially, unofficially, for several years. And you can make the same kind of money that they're making. So you interested in doing a little bit of investing? I'd start looking at how these congressional individuals who seem to know right before really big events happening. By the way, this is one of the reasons I think that people in Congress should be banned from trading openly on the stock market, and possibly their spouse. Because the amount of money that individuals have made with insider knowledge that you and I are not privy to is truly incredible. I mean, talk about the fruits of the victor right there. Those are some spoils. $2 million of profit in 103 days just from public stocks trading. You could have slapped something like that down on your Robinhood app, or you could have gone to your local stockbroker and given him that, and you could have made really big returns. And there's even an app that will help you do it. Thank you very much for tuning in. I'm heading over now to the Daily Signal to cover the State of the Union live. Really appreciate it. Make sure you guys tune in tomorrow. We're going to be covering all that stuff. This has been the Tony Kinnett Cast on 93 WIBC.
Fed rate cut plans have reduced mortgage rates more than a full point. So if you have been